"Stand back, son, I'll handle this," he says. "License and registration, please, sir." The driver hands him both. "Okay. Now, sir, you mind if I take a look in the trunk? Be my guest." He looks. There's nothing in there but a jack and a spare wheel. "I hear tell there's a gun in your glove compartment." "Don't think so, officer. You take a look, I'll keep my hands on the wheel. There's nothing in there but a few slightly furry mints." "Well, sir," says copper number 2, "I declare I'm confused. My colleague here was quite sure. You got no license and no registration, and you got a gun in your car and a dead woman in your trunk. And I'll bet he told you I was speeding too, didn't he?" A man is driving along in the States when a policeman pulls him over. "License and registration, please, sir," says the blue bottle. "Don't have a license," he replies. "The court took it off me for my last drink driving rap." "Right. How about that registration?" "Well, no, 'cause this ain't my car. In fact, I stole it. Had to shoot the woman who owned it, too, 'fore she'd let go of the keys. Gotta be straight with you, she's in the trunk. I'm just on my way to bury her. The gun's here in the glove compartment if you want to look." Mr. Plod, who's not very experienced, steps back sharpish and gets on the blower for backup. A few minutes later, another policeman shows up. An elderly man is wheeling a trolley through the supermarket. In the front is a small child, making an unholy racket. They pass a woman who overhears the man. "It's all right, George, we're nearly done," he says. A few minutes later, she encounters them again. This time, the child is clawing open a packet of crisps and throwing them at the elderly man. She overhears him again. "Patience, George. Nearly there." 2 aisles over, and there they are again. The child is now howling and kicking the elderly man, while rubbing snot into his jumper. Once more, she overhears him. "Not long now, George. We're nearly out of here." Near the checkouts, she runs into them again. Now the child is throwing money out of the elderly man's wallet and swearing picturesquely at other shoppers. She can't help hearing him again. "Soon be at the car, George. Soon be time to go home. Just need to stick it out a little longer." On the way out, she can't help herself. She goes up to the elderly man, excuses herself for butting in, and congratulates him on his patience with his grandson, George. "I've never seen anyone deal so calmly with this sort of thing," she tells him. "Well, thank you, miss," he replies. "But I'm George. This little sot is called Kevin." Why did I get divorced? Well, last week was my birthday. My wife didn't wish me a happy birthday. My parents forgot, and so did my kids. I went to work, and even my colleagues didn't wish me a happy birthday. As I entered my office, my secretary said, "Happy birthday, boss." I felt so special. She asked me out for lunch. After lunch, she invited me to her apartment. We went there, and she said, "Do you mind if I go into the bedroom for a minute?" "Okay," I said. She came out 5 minutes later with a birthday cake. My wife, my parents, my kids, my friends, and my colleagues all yelling, "Surprise!" while I was waiting on the sofa, naked. A blonde was trying to sell her old car. She was having a lot of problems selling it, in part because the car had almost 250,000 miles on it. One day, she told her problem to her hairdresser. The hairdresser told her, "There is a possibility to make the car easier to sell, but it's not legal." "That doesn't matter," replied the blonde, "if I can only sell the car." "Okay," said the brunette. "Here is the address of a friend of mine. He owns a car repair shop. Tell him I sent you and he will fix it. Then you shouldn't have a problem anymore trying to sell your car." The following week, the blonde made the trip to the mechanic. Next time the blonde was having her hair done, the hairdresser asked, "Did you sell your car?" "No," replied the blonde. "I decided to keep it as it has only done 50,000 miles. An 86-year-old man went to his doctor for his quarterly checkup. The doctor asked him how he was feeling, and the 86-year-old said, "Things are great, and I've never felt better. I now have a 20-year-old bride who is pregnant with my child. So what do you think about that, Doc? The doctor considered his question for a minute and then began to tell a story. I have a friend around your age who's an avid hunter and never misses a season. One day he was setting off to go hunting. In a bit of a hurry, he accidentally picked up his walking cane instead of his gun. As he neared a lake, he came across a very large male beaver sitting at the water's edge. He realized he'd left his gun at home, and so he couldn't shoot the magnificent creature. Out of habit, he raised his cane, aimed it at the animal as if it were his favorite hunting rifle, and went bang, bang. Miraculously, 2 shots rang out, and the beaver fell over dead. Now, what do you think of that? Asked the doctor. The 86-year-old said, It's obvious somebody else pumped a couple of rounds into that beaver. The doctor replied, My point exactly.